Good morning, Developer Week Austin. My name is Jeffrey Brown. I'm a senior software engineer at Mindbody. And today I am your host of Extreme Makeover API Edition. There we go. You thought 6th Street was the only place hopping here, huh? So I said, my name's Jeffrey Brown from Mindbody. So what is Mindbody for those of you that may not know? We're a company headquartered in San Luis Obispo, California. It's about halfway between Los Angeles and San Francisco. We have offices all over the world, including one right here in Austin, Texas. So if you are interested, let me know, or any of my associates down here as well. So Mindbody as a company, our purpose is helping people lead healthier, happier lives by connecting the world to wellness. Now that's a pretty tall order, so how do we do that? Through our software, of course. Our software is a service platform. We power health and wellness businesses, so think salons, massage parlors, yoga studios, gyms, etc. About 70,000 businesses run on our platform. We offer scheduling, point of sale, customer management, so staff and clients, marketing tools, reports, mobile apps, and of course, APIs. So that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. One API in particular, our SOAP API. So this is the API that powers many other businesses building some really cool stuff on our platform. They use this API to call into our software to make bookings, schedule appointments, and so on. So one example, of course, ClassPass uses this API. So anytime a booking is made on our platform on a Mindbody subscriber, they call into this API to make the booking. And so the SOAP API consists of 78 different endpoints. Not going to name them all for you here today because I can't, and that would take me forever. They're categorized into 7 different services, 2 different versions, 5 and 5.1, and of course it's SOAP, so it's an XML. Now, like I said, we got lots of great cool stuff built on top of this. It functions, but there are a lot of improvements that can be made because this API has been around for many, many years. And I'm sure all of you can think of something out there that maybe you're working on that has been around for quite a while. And it works, but there can be some improvements made. And it's not always easy to do that because you have to convince the people who write the checks to do that. So we're going to go through our process here at Mindbody, how we did it, and hopefully how we can inspire you to do it as well. So what do we do first? We define what are we doing and why are we doing it. With our API, we started with the common requests. Now, as I said, we have many developers and integrators working on this API. So, of course, we get feedback from them. One such feature that we're lacking on the API is gift cards. We sell gift cards, of course, through our software, through our mobile apps, but we don't offer that feature over the API, and that's a big feature gap. A lot of partners want us to be RESTful. So, you know, it works, but it's not the greatest. API keys and user authentication, I'll go to in detail a little bit more, but spoiler alert, we don't do it the best way either. And of course, we have other things that we want to do as a team. Like I said, these are some common requests from our partners, but as a team, we have maybe some tech debt like we'd like to tackle as well. So next, prototype. How are we going to do that? And the key here is ask forgiveness, not permission. Right, so a lot of us that work at these bigger companies, we have these processes that we have to go through whenever we want to do something. We have to submit a business requirements document. We have to convince people why it's a good idea to do this. But the key, as I said, just do it. Whether it's in an off cycle, maybe some time after work or whatnot, trust me, it's worth it. One-time investment, and it's going to pay off great. So this was our ask forgiveness, not permission. We started by restifying an endpoint called Get Class Descriptions and got a good feel for the level of effort. And as you can see, we have a nice JSON response and it looks awesome. It's something that we can show the business people and say, this is what we get if we go forward with this extreme makeover. Speaking of the business people, now it's time to sell. And to sell, you need to get excited. Because if you're not excited about what you're trying to do, your business people aren't going to be excited either. So you need to be passionate and have enthusiasm and really sell to them. Tell them why it's a good idea, why we need to do this. And so right now, I'm going to sell to you the next and greatest iteration of our API. We call it the public API. We're going to start with a rebranding. No longer is it going to be the SOAP API. You'll find out why in a moment, although some of you probably already know why. And we're going to introduce a new version, version 6.0. So the first thing we're going to do, let's get RESTful. No more SOAP. So what does that mean? Of course, JSON. No more big fat XML request bodies and responses. Verbs. In SOAP, everything is a post. We have so many other verbs to choose from. We're going to add 2 more, get and delete. Response codes. Not everything has to be a 200 OK. In SOAP, we get an error message. Yeah, it's OK. 200 OK. No, that's bad. We don't want to do that. We got other response codes. We got 201 created if we create a new object. If we fat finger a password, now it all happens, so no shame there, but we get a 401 unauthorized. We're forward thinking. Say we make a Teapot API, we got 418, I'm a teapot. We got that because we are RESTful. Next thing, API keys. In our current scheme of authorization, the partners pass in a plain text username and password on every single request. That's not good. Not only is it insecure, but when the password has to be reset because it was compromised, our existing implementation breaks. So we want to do away with that. We're going to introduce API keys. You can create as many API keys as you want on our per account. And you're going to pass these in via headers. So we've got an API key header, site ID, just because that was part of our source credentials, as we like to call it. And best of all, we're going to make this available to developers and integrators today in version 5.1. Next, user authentication. So similarly to the partner authentication, our users are authenticating every time by passing in a username and password. What we're asking our developers to do is to ask them for their username and password, store it in the application, and then pass it through every single request. Not good. Very bad security practice. So we're going to do away with that. We're introducing a brand new endpoint called issue user token, where we pass in the username and password one time, and we get back a bearer token that we pass in every single request there on out. So as I said, we pass that in via an authorization header. Because this is a brand new RESTful endpoint, we're only making it available in this version 6, but it will give our partners incentive to migrate over to the new version. Next, and this is a big one, prepaid gift cards. This is exciting. This is going to be so exciting for our developers. It's going to add some brand new functionality. It's been dearly missed. So we're introducing 2 endpoints, purchase gift card and get gift cards, that will facilitate that workflow. Next up, simplification. So these products that I told you to imagine that say you have, that you work on, there are many things that can be improved, and you have external requests, but you also have some things that you want to do too. So this API has been around, like I said, for a while, and it's got some quirks to it, some things that maybe we did at the time that sounded like a good idea, but really wasn't. So these are some of those things. So the first thing, we have this scheme of add or update. We've got API calls that say add or update appointments, add or update clients, add or update contact log. We don't want to do that. We want to split those up into 2 different endpoints. So add client, update client, and so on. Now, the legal team made me take out my meme, so I need you to imagine with me a guy drinking a Dos Equis beer, and he says, I don't always add or update, but when I do, I call 2 separate endpoints. So thank you very much for humoring me there on my meme that I could not use. Next, we've got 2 different parameters that we used to pass in. So partners could specify the level of detail that they wanted in their request. They could also pass in a fields parameter. If they want an extra field, they just pass it in. Not a lot of people do that, and it's not best RESTful practice. So we're going to do away with those things. We're going to cut some of the fat and the internal bloat out of our API as well. And finally, the limit and offset pagination. So currently we're using a page number, page index pagination scheme. Do away with that limit offset. It's a lot cleaner, and it lets us be a lot more optimal and optimized on the back end. wellness under the hood. So I need you to imagine with me the most beautiful API. It's in JSON, it's REST, we've got verbs, we've got response codes. It's just amazing, the most immaculate API you have ever seen. But it takes 20 seconds for a response to come back. That's not good. Our developers are not going to like that. So we're going to do some things to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, when I imagine my vision for the API, I think of our end consumers. Those people that are booking their classes, their appointments, because they not only want to look good, but they want to be healthy and they want to be mentally sane and have an outlet. So I want our API to be the same. I want it to not only look good, but to be healthy in its fast response and accurate. And I want our developers, when they're working on our API, to be mentally sane. I'm sure you all have worked on an API before, and it's just terrible, and yeah, you just go out the window there. So we want you to be sane working on it. Modern data access methods. We're going to upgrade some libraries so that our data is fetched faster and more reliably. We're going to introduce a new, more maintainable architecture we call layered architecture so that we can reuse code, find and fix bugs faster. We're going to improve logging and metrics so that we can see how well our new API is doing and, again, find and fix problems faster. And finally, we're going to introduce a spike arrest policy. So every once in a while, we have a bad actor making a ton of requests into our API, and it's not good because it affects everyone else, and sometimes the whole ecosystem. So we're going to implement a proxy that uses spike arrest policy to stop that. So if someone is attacking our API or for maybe unbeknownst to them making a lot of requests, it won't affect everyone else. They'll just get 429s. Of course, we have the 429s because we're in REST. Last improvement that you cannot forget about is our developer portal. Key here, don't forget about the developer experience. So just because we've got a great API, we need to make our developers happy when they're looking for documentation and managing their credentials. So with our developer portal, we're going to improve the look and feel, we're going to improve the documentation, and of course add some new documentation for version 6.0. We're going to increase the billing transparency so they feel a little bit more comfortable about how they're getting billed and why. And of course, API key management happens all in our developer portal. So, I've sold you on this, right? This sounds like a great idea. We need to get it in motion. Let's do it. Next step is implement. But you need to have a plan. You need to pick your battles. So we could spend years making the most RESTful API, but we'll never get it out the door. So we do things like decide on only adding maybe a couple verbs or having maybe not the best RESTful routing scheme, but it's standardized, we have a plan, we're moving forward, and we'll iterate and make future improvements later. Spoiler alert. So planning is key, pick your battles. Next, unveil. This is the time for you to get excited again because you are selling it maybe to the people that you sold it the first time, but also to the people who are going to be consuming and using what you've worked so hard on. So I had the opportunity to do this just last month at the MindBody Bold conference in San Diego. I presented very similar presentation to this, and the partners there were so excited because there was so much energy in the room, and you're about to see why. So this is the big unveil. So as you know, in Extreme Makeover Home Edition, trademark, copyright infringement, so on. In Extreme Makeover Home Edition, they do this thing where they have a family, and the family has a home that really is in need of a makeover. So what they do is they send them out to San Diego, or to wherever. They send them out on vacation. This is what we've done with you all here. We sent you out to Austin, Texas, and you're having a great time, and you're learning a ton, and you want to go back and do your own makeover sometime, but that's not the point. You're just having an awesome time. Then you come back home, and there's a big fat bus blocking the house, blocking your home. You can't see the improvements that have been made because this bus is in the way. And so what we need to do, now keep this in mind, remember this is our Git classes response, XML, boo, bad. What we need to do is move that bus. And so I'm gonna need some audience participation here. I'm counting on you guys to help me out. I'm going to count to 3, and we're going to do this 3 different times because I have 3 different things to show you. So I'm going to count to 3, and we're all going to yell, "Move that bus!" as loud as we can, because we want everyone else in the expo to wonder what's going on and just get so excited and come running over and want to do their own makeover. So you all on board for that? I count to 3, we yell, "Move that bus." Cool? Yes, awesome. Sure. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, move that bus. And here we go. We've got our Restified JSON response. We've got a pagination response. It's amazing. It's REST. It's so great. Next thing, source credentials. This is our partner authentication scheme. We've got a source name and password, plain text. It's bad. Here we go. One more time. 1, 2, 3, move that bus. And the bus gets out of the way, and we can see our brand new API key header. And last but not least, our user credentials. We've got a plain text username and password being passed in every single response, or every single request, excuse me. Not good. One more time, loudest yet. 1, 2, 3, move that bus! And there we go. There's our authorization header, and the crowd goes wild. Yes! It's amazing. Woo! Thank you, thank you. And last but not least, with this reveal, we're going to give everyone here, not everyone here, but in San Diego when I did this, everyone here gets early access. So it's not just smoke and mirrors, it's not just me here talking about, what we've done, but you get to try it out, get on Postman, make some API requests, and see this brand new Restified API. So key here, unveil with the release plan. That way people can get a taste of it for themselves. And I failed to mention earlier, you don't have to be 100% done with what you're working on before you do this unveil. In fact, it's better to do it a little earlier just so you can get the excitement going. You can give them early access, and you can get some feedback as you finish it off. And that brings me to my last step, finish and iterate. The 80-20 rule is real. So, right before I did that presentation, this is what our Scrum board looked like. You can see all the endpoints done, a couple doing, and some still planned. Just last Friday, I took another look at that board, and we had maybe 3 in the plan that have been moved over, but still a bunch unplanned. So, take it from my experience, the 80-20 rule is real. It is up to you to keep that bus moving and finish it off. To summarize our successful makeover steps, so you can all go home and do this on your own products and services. So number 1, define what is it we're doing and why are we doing it. Prototype, ask forgiveness, not permission. Sell it, get excited. Implement it with a plan. Unveil, get excited again. And finally, finish and iterate. The 80-20 rule is real. It's up to you to finish it off. Thank you all very, very much for being a part of Extreme Makeover API Edition again. My name is Jeffrey Brown from MindBody. Please come talk to me or anyone in any of my associates if you're at all interested in hearing more. And thank you very much.